You think cruising is cocktail hour and sunsets? Think again. From nighttime pirate attacks, to hidden morgues below decks, to code words that signal someone's gone overboard, here are cruise ship secrets you are not privileged to hear. And I assure you, after you do, you'll look at cruising forever differently. You're halfway through your glass of wine when you look up and see something odd. A tiny white boat with no lights coming directly at the ship. You figure perhaps it's just some fishermen, and then you see rifles. April 2009, off Somalia, 500 miles from land. 6 armed pirates are closing in. Passengers are asked to secure themselves in their cabins. Water cannon, high-pitched sonic devices, even P-traps that will catch propellers. That's what's in the anti-piracy arsenal. But what pirates did not anticipate were undercover Israeli security guards. When water cannons did not do the trick, they started shooting. Pirates turned around and sailed off into the darkness. No harm done. And though cruise ships are not attacked often, merchant ships are the big target. It's a reminder, your floating hotel is far better secured than you will ever realize. You're halfway through a glass of wine when you spot something strange. A small white boat with no lights racing toward the ship. You think, maybe it's just a fisherman. Then you see rifles. In April 2009, the MSC Melody was 500 miles off the coast of Somalia. 6 armed pirates are closing in. Passengers are told to lock themselves in their cabins. The crew rolls out the anti-piracy arsenal water cannons, high-frequency sonic weapons, even P-traps designed to snare a boat's propellers. But what the pirates didn't expect was an undercover team of Israeli security guards. When water jets weren't enough, they opened fire. The pirates turned tail and disappeared into the night. Nobody was hurt. And while cruise ships are rarely targeted, merchant ships are the bigger prize. It's a reminder your floating hotel has more security than you'll ever notice. Above deck live music, endless buffets, sparkling pools. Below deck, an entire hidden city you'll never see. Most crew work 10 to 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, for contracts lasting up to 9 months. Their world revolves around the I-95, a long corridor stretching the length of the ship, connecting crew quarters to every workspace. It's their highway, their lifeline, and passengers aren't allowed inside. 85% of the crew sleep below the waterline, sharing small cabins with 2-4 roommates and a single bathroom. They have their own bars, gyms, and even barber shops because mingling with guests is usually against the rules. So while you're sipping a sunset cocktail, somewhere below your feet is a whole other world working around the clock to keep the magic alive. Everyone's heard of the Titanic, but here's the thing, icebergs are still a real danger for modern cruise ships, and sometimes they get high. In 2022, a Norwegian cruise ship brushed against a hidden growler, a low-lying piece of ice the size of a truck near Alaska's Hubbard Glacier. Passengers felt a sudden jolt. The crew rushed to inspect the hull. Today's ships use advanced radar and even AI to detect ice from miles away. And the International Ice Patrol tracks thousands of bergs in the North Atlantic every year. But the real reason ships survive impacts now? Welding. Unlike the Titanic's riveted plates, welded steel distributes stress, making the hull far harder to break apart. So while a collision is unlikely, it's proof that the ocean still has ways to remind us who's in charge. Here's a fact you won't find in the cruise brochure. Every large cruise ship has a morgue. With thousands of passengers on board for days or weeks, medical emergencies do happen. Bodies are stored in temperature-controlled rooms until the next port, often without other passengers knowing. In the industry, a death is called Operation Rising Star. Some ex-crew claim free ice cream means the morgue is full and freezer space is needed. Officially, that's just a myth. Morgues are separate from food storage. Still, the next time you're enjoying dessert at sea, you might think twice about where the freezer is. Ever hear the crew use a strange code word? They're not random. They're designed so passengers don't panic. Alpha usually means a medical emergency. Bravo means fire. But the one code nobody wants to hear is Oscar Man overboard. If someone goes overboard, the ship turns around, sends a distress signal to nearby vessels, and begins a coordinated search. New overboard detection systems now scan the sides of ships 24/7, triggering alarms if they detect a fall. But the odds aren't good. Between 2000 and 2019, there were 212 incidents and only 48 rescues. So if you ever cruise, stay on the safe side of that railing. You'd think the priciest suites are the most comfortable, but there's a catch. They're often at the very front of the ship, high above the waterline, exactly where you'll feel the most motion. Cruise ships act like giant seesaws. The farther you are from the middle, the more you feel the roll. Even with stabilizers, massive underwater fins that reduce motion by up to 90%, you'll still notice the sway in rough seas. So if you're prone to seasickness, book low and midship. You can always visit the upper decks for the view without paying thousands to feel like you're sleeping on a trampoline. Everyone loves exploring new ports, but seasoned cruisers know the real magic happens when you don't leave the ship. While most passengers are ashore, the ship becomes your private resort. Pools, spas, and specialty restaurants often offer discounts during port hours. No lines, no crowds, just pure peace. Plus, staying on board means you avoid overpriced tourist traps and the risk of being, well, the next pier runner. Cruise ships are getting bolder with their attractions. Zip lines, skydiving simulators, and water slides that hang over the sea. But sometimes, they don't go as planned. In 2022, a guest on Norwegian's Ocean Loops got stuck halfway through the ride, suspended 159 feet above the ocean. Weight, water flow, even the type of swimsuit can change whether you make it through or grind to a stop. If you've ever looked closely at a cruise ship, you might have noticed odd shapes and symbols that seem decorative, but they're actually functional. These giant white orbs? They're radomes, protective shells housing the ship's radar and satellite systems, shielding them from wind and weather. Even their white color is intentional. It reflects sunlight, keeping equipment cool. On Disney ships, hallway carpets are designed so the globes always point toward the front of the ship. Norwegian uses fish patterns swim toward the bow, tail toward the stern, helping passengers navigate without a map. And those cone-shaped discs on mooring lines, rat guards are old school but effective. Rats can't climb past them, keeping unwanted passengers off the ship. Your cabin might feel private, but in rare, unsettling cases, it isn't. In 2017, a couple aboard the Carnival Fantasy discovered a hidden recording device pointed at their bed. The cruise line claimed it wasn't active, but the FBI still got involved. And in 2024, a Royal Caribbean stateroom attendant was caught hiding cameras in passenger bathrooms, recording nearly 1,000 guests over 3 months. Incidents like this are rare, but it's worth doing a quick sweep to check vents, mirrors, and electronics. A flashlight test can reveal hidden lenses. Better safe than sorry. The buffet is the heart of cruise dining, but here's the unappetizing truth. With so much food out for so long, it can be a breeding ground for trouble. Hot foods must stay above 140 degrees Fahrenheit, cold foods below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Anything in between the danger zone is prime for bacteria growth. Raw foods like sushi and oysters are the riskiest, especially if they've been sitting out. Even condiments can be germ magnets, passed from hand to hand all day. The safest bet? Hot, freshly prepared dishes. And here's a pro tip. Skip loading up on bread and pasta. You've already paid for the meal to save room for the expensive stuff you wouldn't normally get at home. From hidden morgues to secret codes, the truth is, cruise ships are floating cities with stories you'll never see in the brochure. But those stories are what make them so fascinating, and trust me, there are even wilder ones I haven't shared yet. If you want part 2, tap that like button so I know you're ready, subscribe for more untold travel secrets, and share in the comments which cruise fact shocked you the most. Who knows, your story might just make it into the next video.